So this time we have three Scottish clubs in midweek European action as the UEFA Conference League kicks off this week with Aberdeen at home to Shakhtar Donetsk, and it couldn't be a worse time really for Aberdeen to be playing them, or a better time if you look at it as a way to kickstart their season if they can somehow pull off the result there. And of course Celtic have their first home game of the Europa League with an early kick-off against Braga, and Rangers are away from home to Sturm Graz after their home defeat last week to Genk, which they'll have been looking to try and pick up 3 points there, as both Celtic and Rangers will be looking to try and pick up as many home points as possible, of course. But we are into the fixtures this week to see how we think they're going to go and breaking them down a little bit. But before we get into that, if you are new around here, please consider checking out some of the other content on the channel, liking and subscribing. But without further ado, let's get into the predictions for the Europa League and Conference League fixtures for Celtic, Rangers and Aberdeen. On to the early kick-off, we have Celtic at home to Braga. Celtic, of course, last time out, picking up a 1-1 draw away from home to Red Star Belgrade, where Celtic did, of course, take the lead in the game, and then unfortunately were pegged back. I think before the game, a point would have been seen as a really, really good result, especially at Red Star. They don't lose very often at home in Europe, and in fact, apparently, not only that, they haven't actually gone a game in any competition without scoring a goal, according to the commentary last week, since they lost in the Champions League last season to Barcelona. So that's a pretty good record for them. However, Celtic will probably feel as though they should have won the game after taking the lead and some of the chances that were created, particularly in the second half where they made the goalkeeper work. At times, scoring has been a problem for Celtic this season, but they'll hope to get that corrected, as it were, in this game against Braga at home. I think, as I said earlier, Celtic and Rangers know that their home games are going to be so important, probably, to get themselves to the next stage, whether that's top 8 or going through the playoff stage. And I do back Celtic to pick up the 3 points here at home to Braga. I think this will not be one of their... well, it is, of course, it's a difficult game at any time against Portuguese opposition in Europe, but it's one of the games that they should be targeting as 3 points, you would imagine, and I think that will be the case in this game. Of course, Celtic are coming off the back of a home 0-0 draw to Hibs, which, you know, Celtic have had a few 0-0s this season. However, this game in particular, Celtic did do something that they haven't done in some of the other 0-0s that they've had this season, which is create a lot of chances. I think the woodwork was hit a couple of times in the game. The ball was in the back of the net and it was disallowed for offside. So it wasn't as if it was ponderous and Celtic weren't creating chances in that game. It was just one of those days, if you like, against Hibs, it seemed. So I think if they put in a similar performance and create the chances against Braga, they'll probably take one. So I'm going to go for 2-0 in this game to Celtic. So, on to our first Conference League fixture for Aberdeen this season. Of course, when the draw was made for Aberdeen, you saw the teams that they got. The Opta statistics, even before they were finding themselves in the position that they're in at the moment, was that they are unexpected to win any of their games, and I don't think that's changed based off of how they've went and kicked on since then. No league wins, no league goals either, so it's, to me, all signs point to a Shakhtar Donetsk win here, unfortunately, as much as I'd like to see Aberdeen win. I think it would take something crazy for Aberdeen to win this game. If they did win this game, you would feel as though that it would give them the confidence needed to start kicking on in the league, despite the fact that in previous seasons we have seen Scottish teams struggle to balance the European side with the domestic side when they get that third European spot, which Aberdeen and Hearts have had the past few years. I think if they were to get the confidence of a win at home against Shakhtar Donetsk, then that would kick them on for the season. But I'm not going to predict that. I'm going to predict Aberdeen to lose this game, unfortunately. We'll go 3-0. We'll see what happens in the end. And on to Sturm Graz versus Rangers, both teams that have had a start to the season that they wouldn't have wanted, although Rangers, of course, in a much worse position than Sturm Graz, you would say. Sturm Graz goalkeeper last time out in the Europa League did throw away a goal, and they lost to Midtjylland, who we know, of course, took a few worldy goals to get past Hibs in the qualifying stages for the Europa League. Rangers, of course, lost last time out to Genk, thanks to former Celtic striker O scoring the goal in that game. Rangers, though, coming off the back of their first league win and beating Livingston to do so. I don't expect Sturm Graz to set up similarly to Livingston. You know, there was the argument that Rangers could kick on from the Hibs result in the Cup, and they didn't. So we'll see what happens in this game. Rangers away from home in Europe have failed to pick up a win yet. So we will see if tonight is the night that can be done. I'm not going to back that to happen. I'm going to go for the draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this game. So that's going to do it for the predictions for tonight's Europa League and Conference League fixtures. If you are new around here, please consider checking out some of the other content on the channel, liking and subscribing, and I'll look to get reactions up for the games at full time for the Aberdeen and Rangers game. I'll be trying to go back and forth between the two. I'll miss some of the first half for the Celtic game due to work, but I'll get a reaction up for the second half from that and looking at the first half highlights as well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.